The jungle breathes. Thick mist curls through towering ceiba trees as the first light of dawn breaks over the stone pyramids of Tikal. A conch shell blows, its deep sound echoing across plazas where thousands once gathered. This is not a ruin. This is a living city, pulsing with the rhythm of a civilization that measured time in cycles of creation and destruction, that read the stars like we read clocks, and that built an empire not of conquest alone, but of cosmic understanding. Welcome to the world of the Maya, where every sunrise was a victory, every harvest a negotiation with gods, and every day was lived under the weight of eternity. Long before Columbus set foot in the Americas, before the great cathedrals of Europe touched the sky, the Maya had already mastered mathematics, created the concept of zero, and built observatories that could predict celestial events thousands of years into the future. From around 2000 BC to the Spanish arrival in the 1500s, and spanning the dense rainforests of what we now call Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador, the Maya developed one of the most sophisticated civilizations the ancient world had ever seen. But this was not a single empire with one ruler. The Maya world was a patchwork of city-states, each with its own king, its own patron gods, and its own ambitions. Cities like Tikal, Palenque, Copan, and Calakmul rose and fell like waves, sometimes allies, often rivals, always watching the heavens for signs of what would come next. To understand the Maya is to step into their morning. Picture a farmer named Kainich, his name meaning sun-faced, waking before dawn in a small thatched house on the outskirts of a great city. The walls are made of limestone and adobe, the roof carefully woven from palm leaves. His wife, Ixchel, named after the moon goddess, is already awake, grinding maize on a stone metate, the rhythmic sound a morning song heard in every Maya household for centuries. The corn has been soaked overnight in lime water, a process called nixtamalization that the Maya discovered long ago, one that releases vital nutrients and turns simple corn into the foundation of life. From this dough, she will make tortillas, tamales, and the sacred drink called atol. Corn is not just food here. Corn is divine. The Maya believe humans were literally created from maize dough by the gods, molded and given breath in the third attempt at creation after failures with mud and wood. Kainich steps outside. The air is cool, heavy with moisture. In the distance, the Great Pyramid Temple rises above the jungle canopy, its limestone face painted brilliant red and white, decorated with massive masks of gods with jade eyes and obsidian teeth. Smoke rises from the temple summit, where priests have already begun the morning rituals. Every day in the Maya world begins with blood. Not always human blood, though. That too has its sacred time, but the blood of kings and priests who pierce their tongues, ears and genitals with stingray spines and obsidian blades, letting it drip onto bark paper that will be burned to send prayers directly to the gods through smoke. This is the currency of cosmic balance. The gods gave their blood to create humanity, and humanity must give blood in return to keep the sun rising, the rain falling, the world turning. Kainich walks through his milpa, the cornfield that represents the Maya approach to agriculture, a genius of sustainability that modern agronomists still study. He does not plant in rows like later farmers would. Instead, he plants the three sisters together: maize, beans, and squash. The corn provides a stalk for the beans to climb. The beans fix nitrogen in the soil, feeding the corn. The squash spreads its broad leaves across the ground, keeping moisture in and weeds out. Between them grow chili peppers, tomatoes, avocados, cacao, and herbs. This is not just a field. This is an ecosystem, a garden designed to work with the jungle, not against it. The Maya understood something that many civilizations forgot. You cannot conquer nature. You can only dance with it. But Kainich is not just a farmer. In the Maya world, there are no simple roles. He is also a craftsman, and in the dry season when the fields rest, he works with his brother shaping obsidian blades and tools that will be traded across the vast network of Maya commerce. Obsidian from the highlands, jade from the Motagua Valley, cacao from the lowlands, salt from the coasts. All these flow through markets that connect cities hundreds of miles apart. The Maya do not have metal tools or wheels for transportation, yet they move massive quantities of goods along jungle paths and river routes carried on the backs of porters who can walk 40 miles in a day or in dugout canoes that navigate rivers and coastal waters. As the sun climbs higher, the city comes fully alive. The central plaza fills with people from every level of Maya society, and the Maya have many levels. At the very top stands the cacao, the divine lord, the king who claims descent from the gods themselves. He is not just a political ruler. He is a living axis mundi, the point where earth touches sky, where human time intersects with divine time. When he performs rituals, when he bleeds, when he enters trance states through pain and hallucinogenic drinks, he becomes a bridge between worlds. His wife, the queen, holds her own power, often serving as high priestess, and in some cities, even ruling in her own right when circumstances demand it. Below the royal family are the nobles, the Ajah, who govern districts, command armies, and oversee the vast bureaucratic machinery that keeps a city-state functioning. They wear elaborate headdresses made from quetzal feathers that shimmer green and gold, jade jewelry that clicks and gleams, and jaguar pelts that mark them as lords of both human and animal realms. Their bodies are deliberately shaped from birth to fit Maya ideals of beauty. Heads bound as infants to create the elongated skull shape that resembles an ear of corn, teeth filed and inlaid with jade, noses built up with clay to create the pronounced profiles seen in all Maya art. They are walking works of art, living sculptures designed to embody cosmic perfection. Then come the artisans, the scribes, the merchants, the warriors. The scribes are particularly revered because they possess the sacred knowledge of the glyphs, the intricate writing system that is part phonetic, part pictographic, and entirely beautiful. A Maya scribe spends years learning the hundreds of glyphs needed to record history, astronomy, ritual, and royal propaganda. They paint these glyphs on bark paper books called codices, on pottery, on the walls of temples and palaces. Each glyph is a small work of art, often showing the heads of gods or animals, arranged in paired columns that read left to right, top to bottom. To be illiterate in the Maya world is to be cut off from the divine, because the glyphs themselves are considered alive, imbued with the essence of what they represent. At the base of the social pyramid are the farmers like Kainich, and below them, the enslaved people, prisoners of war, or those who have fallen into debt they cannot repay. Slavery in the Maya world is complex, not quite the chattel slavery of later empires, but still a brutal reality where human beings become property, used for labor and sometimes for sacrifice. Midday brings the market into full swing. Under cotton awnings, vendors display their wares. Cacao beans, so valuable they serve as currency, sit in careful piles. A string of jade beads might cost 400 cacao beans. A rabbit for dinner might cost 10. Cacao itself is drunk as axolotl, a bitter, spicy drink mixed with chili peppers and honey, considered the drink of gods and nobles. Women sell tamales wrapped in banana leaves, ceramics painted with mythological scenes, textiles woven in patterns that identify which city they come from, which family. The air smells of copal incense, roasting corn, and the green scent of the jungle that presses in on all sides. A ball game is scheduled for the afternoon in the great ball court, and already a crowd is gathering. The Maya ball game, pits, is not a sport in the way we understand sports. It is ritual warfare, cosmic drama, life and death, played out with a rubber ball and two teams. The court itself is shaped like the letter I, with sloping walls and sometimes stone rings set high on the walls as goals. Players wear heavy padding on their hips, knees, and elbows because the solid rubber ball, weighing up to 9 pounds, can break bones. They cannot use their hands or feet, only hips, knees, chest, and elbows to keep the ball in motion. The game reenacts the myth of the hero twins, 2 brothers who played ball with the lords of the underworld and through cunning and skill defeated death itself. But there is a darker element. Sometimes the ball game ends in sacrifice. Whether it is the losing team or the winning team, scholars still debate, but what is certain is that on some occasions the captain is taken to the temple bound and decapitated, his blood feeding the earth, ensuring the continuation of the cosmic cycle. The crowd watches with reverence, not horror, because they understand what we have forgotten, that the Maya see life and death as partners in an eternal dance, neither good nor evil, both necessary. As afternoon fades toward evening, Kainich returns home, but his wife is not there. She is at the cenote, the sacred well, with the other women, drawing water and saying prayers. Cenotes are collapsed sinkholes that provide access to underground rivers, the only source of fresh water in much of the Maya lowlands. But they are more than wells. They are portals to Xibalba, the underworld, the watery realm of death and ancestors. The Maya throw offerings into cenotes: jade, pottery, incense, and yes, sometimes human beings, especially children and young women, sent as messengers to the rain god Chak to beg for rain during the long dry season. Families gather for the main meal. They eat from clay bowls painted with scenes of gods and heroes. They drink balch, a mildly alcoholic beverage made from fermented honey and tree bark. Children play games with small clay figurines shaped like animals and gods. He will fast and meditate, consulting with his court astronomer, who has spent decades tracking the movements of Venus, the moon, the sun, and the Milky Way, which the Maya see as the great world tree, the axis of creation. The Maya calendar is actually multiple calendars working simultaneously. The Shukan, a 260-day sacred calendar used for divination and ritual. First 2012, a date that will cause modern panic, but which to the Maya simply represents the end of one great cycle and the beginning of another. The astronomer priests have calculated that the king's ancestors were born under auspicious star signs. And stars dictate the proper times for planting, warfare, sacrifice, and coronation. Modern archaeologists, using computers to reconstruct ancient skies, have confirmed that Maya astronomical tables were accurate to within minutes over thousands of years. But what of the children? What is it like to grow up Maya? A child's life begins with ceremony. The umbilical cord is cut over an ear of corn for girls, over a tool for boys, symbolizing their future roles. Each color, red for east, white for north, black for west, yellow for south, with green at the center, representing the ceiba tree that holds up the sky. As they grow, boys learn to hunt, farm, and fight. Girls learn to weave, cook, and maintain the household shrines. Education for elite children is formal and intensive. They attend schools and temple compounds where they learn mathematics based on a vigesimal system, counting by 20s instead of 10s. They learn the complex calendar systems. They practice writing glyphs. They study the codices, those precious books that contain astronomical tables, ritual instructions, and histories of dynasties. They learn music, playing drums, flutes, and rattles, because music is prayer made audible. But they rarely seek to annihilate each other completely. War is ritual as much as politics. The greatest prize is not land, but captives, especially high-ranking captives who can be brought back for public humiliation and eventual sacrifice. A captured king might be kept for years, forced to participate in rituals as a defeated lord before finally being sacrificed at a moment calculated by the priests to bring maximum cosmic benefit. Warriors wear padded cotton armor soaked in salt water, which when dried becomes surprisingly effective at stopping blades and projectiles. The temples we see today as gray ruins were once painted in vibrant colors: red from hematite, blue from indigo, and a special clay mixture called Maya blue that has proven so chemically stable it still shows brilliant color after 1,000 years, yellow from earth ochres, black from soot. Inside, the darkness was broken by torchlight, revealing murals showing the kings in all their glory, battling enemies, communing with ancestors, performing the bloodletting that kept the universe functioning. The palace complexes where the royal families lived were labyrinths of rooms arranged around courtyards, with throne rooms, sleeping quarters, workshops, kitchens, and storage areas. Courtiers brought him tribute and disputes for judgment. Merchants reported on distant trade routes. Warriors sought permission for raids. And always, the priests consulted the calendars, watching for the auspicious days, the dangerous days, the moments when the barrier between worlds grew thin. But something happened. This is where the story grows dark, where triumph turns to mystery. Not all at once, not everywhere, but like lights going out across a landscape. One by one the cities were abandoned. Tikal, which had been home to perhaps 100,000 people, fell silent. The Maya are still here, millions strong, speaking Mayan languages, maintaining traditions. But the cities died. The temples were left to the jungle, which reclaimed them with vines and roots, patient as only a rainforest can be. Why? Scholars have proposed drought, deforestation, warfare, disease, political collapse, or most likely, some terrible combination of all these factors. Kings lost their divine mandate when they could not make the rains come, could not feed their people, could not maintain the cosmic order they had promised. But they too would eventually decline, weakened by internal conflicts and the arrival of new people from central Mexico. And then came the Spanish, bringing steel, horses, guns, and diseases against which the Maya had no immunity. The conquest was not quick. The Maya resisted fiercely. The last independent Maya kingdom, Tayasal, did not fall until 1697, almost 200 years after Columbus. The Spanish burned the codices, seeing them as works of the devil, leaving us with only 4 surviving books from a civilization that had created thousands. They built churches on top of pyramids. They forced conversion and labor, but they could not erase the Maya. You can climb the temples and look out over the jungle canopy, seeing the same horizon the Maya astronomer priests watched. We can see the plazas not as empty stone spaces, but as they were, packed with thousands during festivals, the air thick with copal smoke drums, thundering dancers and god masks spinning. The king on his throne, dressed in jade and quetzal feathers, scribes recording everything in glyphs that we are only now fully learning to read after centuries of silence. The daily life of the Maya was a life lived between earth and sky, between the practical work of growing corn and the cosmic work of maintaining universal order. But as a series of cycles endlessly repeating, the gods performing the same great drama of creation and destruction, death and rebirth, with humanity as both audience and participant. Perhaps we can learn that sustainability is not a modern invention, but ancient wisdom, that the milpa system Perhaps we can learn that there are many ways to be intelligent, that a civilization without wheels or metal tools, nevertheless, calculated the movements of planets with stunning accuracy. Or perhaps the lesson is simpler and more profound, that we are all living on borrowed time, that every sunrise is a gift that must be earned through wisdom, through respect for the systems that sustain us, and through the recognition that we are not separate from the cosmos, but woven into it, each of us a thread in a pattern larger than we can comprehend, dancing between dawn and darkness, trying to keep the great cycles turning for just one more day.